Okay, hopefully you can all see my screen, and what you're seeing is a very basic view of MindManager. And what I want to point out is that when you first open MindManager, you'll see this tutorial panel open, and I really encourage you to explore the introduction video and then to walk through the kind of interactive quick start guide, because that will really help you in using MindManager and getting started. What I'm going to do right now is show you how to create your first map. So I'm actually going to close the tutorial. And if you ever find that you want to revisit the tutorial, where you find that is you go up in the upper left to the File menu and go down to Help, and you'll see that you can turn the tutorial back on. So you know, if you check it out and then you don't use MindManager, you know, for a couple of days, and you're like, oh yeah, how do you do that again? That's how you turn the tutorial back on. Now, to start a new map, I go in the upper left corner, and here's this icon for a new map. If you just click it, you'll get a new blank map, but the easier way to get started is to start your map from a template. So I click on Template, and here I can see a bunch of pre-formatted maps. Now, these top templates don't have content in them. They just are organized by the way you want to display the hierarchy of the map. So whether you want to do a map, a right map, a tree map, or an org chart map. But down here is where you have templates that are kind of pre-populated. And today I thought I'd use an example of a sales kickoff meeting, something that we tend to organize at the beginning of the year. So I'm going to click in, and I can see that, okay, there's an agenda, there's an event plan basic, detailed. So I'm going to click on event plan basic, and I see that I can create a map. What you'll see here is you have tips for how to use the map, and then you have some pre-populated topics. So MindManager is organized around a central topic, which is this big box that says event plan, and subtopics like timeline and guests, and then subtopics. So playing around with these templates is a really good way to get a feel for creating a map. And using the templates by reading the tips and using the pre-populated subtopics will really get you off to a good start for events, meetings, projects, and so on. So I've actually started my own map a little earlier for the sales kickoff. And one of the things that I want to do now is just show you how to add branches. So you can do that in a couple of ways. When you click on a topic, you're going to see these topic guides, and by clicking on that, you're going to be able to add topics in the direction that you want to add. Now, you can also go up to the home menu, up here, click on subtopic, and that will add a subtopic. Or you can just click enter to enter a topic at the same level. So I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff that's in the way now. But that's how easy it is to add topics. And if you want to move topics around, you just drag and drop. So now I moved that from this thing that's called main topic under budget, for example. So it's very easy to drag and drop and move topics around your map and add topics. Okay, so let's kind of dive into this scenario and say that Ryan and I are having a brainstorming meeting with the rest of marketing, and we're trying to figure out what's a good venue. Well, one of the things that I like to use for brainstorming is what's called floating topics. Floating topics you get to up here, so the home menu, floating, and you just click to add a floating topic. And the reason this is good for brainstorming is that it doesn't constrain people's thinking. In other words, we like to say that MindManager is like a virtual whiteboard for brainstorming. And here you can see that it's really like just we're throwing up all these ideas. So of locations that are near our office that might be a good venue for the sales kickoff party. Now, one of the things, once you get a bunch of ideas going on the virtual whiteboard, then you want to start kind of discussing priorities and getting people's opinions on which ones we should really investigate. We're kind of running out of time for our party, so we need to make some quick decisions. So what I've heard from my team is that Fog City Diner is definitely a priority. And the way I'm doing these priority markers is I'm going up in the home menu, I'm going to icons, and then I'm clicking on the priority marker. One of the cool things about priority markers is you don't have to go to the menu every time. You can drag and drop the markers, and if you click on the markers, they will advance. So that's really handy if you're projecting your map during a meeting and people are going, I think that's a 1. No, come on, it's a 2. Anyway, it's very easy for you to make those changes. You can also, for other purposes, use progress markers. So this is a good way of marking what's been done, what hasn't been done. In my team meetings, I like to use flags, and I use a green flag for things that are going well, a yellow flag for things that need discussion, and then a red flag for things that are really kind of running into trouble. So one of the great things about using a map to communicate with other people is the ability to use all these icons so that people can kind of see at a glance what's important. At this point then, if we've finished all our brainstorming, I would start dragging the priority ones down to my venue topic. Now, it turns out that I actually pre-formatted a venue topic, so I'm going to drag that over. I'm going to get rid of this guy. So one of the things that is very useful about using MindManager is the ability to gather all the information that you're working with and that you're going to need to make any sort of decision or progress on your own, and seeing that in a single view and being able to see kind of the big picture, but then to drill in. And so what I mean by that is here is a link that to Fog City Diner, and it's actually, I embedded this link earlier, and it's showing me the website in this embedded browser right within the website. So now, if I want to look at menus, for example, I can see, okay, here's the menu, and oh yeah, I want to highlight the fact that they have this chorizo hash, so I can actually drag that over and add it right to my map, just dragging and dropping from the website. Now let me show you how I added that link. The way to add links is you highlight the topic that you want to add a link to. So here, I'll do menu highlights. You go up in the home menu to link, click on add link, and then just enter the URL, and then there's your link, and you can view it anytime. Similarly, you can add notes, and your notes can appear right here. So if I call Fog City and I get some notes, I can enter notes. And the way I add notes is by going in the home menu to notes, click on this note. I can choose to have it vertical or horizontal. I like the horizontal. And then I add that, and I have that available whenever I'm having a conversation with anybody about whether we should use this venue or not. You can also attach files. So by clicking here, you can attach a PDF, a Word doc, anything else that is relevant to what you're talking about. And when you get to be a MindManager user for a while, and you may start using MindManager to plan real events or other types of projects. We use it for product launches, which you can imagine has a lot of information. This ability to aggregate all the information in one place really becomes important. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a second. Now, I want to show you something that some people would consider to be advanced, but it's actually really handy, and that is something called map parts. So what I'm going to do is, let's say I realize, oh yeah, budget. Okay, now, am I going to create this budget from scratch? That's going to be kind of a pain in the neck. I don't really have to do that. And when I go to the Insert menu, which is up here next to the Home menu, and click on Map Parts, I'm going to see a whole set of pre-formulated topics and subtopics. So I think you're starting to see a couple of ways that MindManager can make it easy for you to start a map with templates and then use these map parts to build out your map without having to do all the work yourself. So within map parts, there are analysis parts like a cost-benefit set of topics and subtopics, fishbone analysis, so on. There's brainstorming tools in here. There's meeting tools. In this case, I'm going to go in Projects and pick Budget and just drag and drop that in here. And what you can see is that it's pre-formatted so that when I start entering costs, so let's say supplies for this dinner, I'm going to enter 5,000 and okay, and then actually we've spent, Ryan is just telling me we've spent $250 so far. Now the thing is, some of these may not apply to, so there's no salary associated with this. So I just delete it, right? I mean, I don't, so you can use the pre-formatted map parts and then customize them. You can change this to be, let's say, wine or something. What's my wine budget? And what you're seeing is that when I enter individual budget items, they roll up to the overall budget topic. So this is a great way to be able to, in a meeting, say, okay, Ryan, you were in charge of doing the budget for travel for everybody who's flying in. What are those, what do you think is a reasonable budget? What are the costs so far? And then when the overall budget starts skyrocketing and we have to cut it back, we can all see, well, what's the impact of these changes? So if I cut this back to 3,500, then, that's going to have an impact on the overall budget right away. This is something that MindManager does. This rolling up of numerical calculations is something that MindManager does, and it does it for things like budgets and forecasts. It also does it for project schedules. So that is really helpful. So now let me show you a little bit of what I mean by project schedule. So invitations is something that I didn't have in my original map, but I want to handle the invitations in a nice way because I want all the sales managers who are coming in from out of town to really kind of feel like we're celebrating them. So what I'm going to do is I am going to say, actually I'm going to do a different thing. Yeah, I'm going to say invitations. Now let's say I want to identify, well, what are the things that have to happen with invitations? Well, one thing that has to happen is guest list, which I misspelled, but I'm leaving it. And let's say I want to assign that to Ryan to figure out. What I'm going to do is go up to the top menu to Task, click on Task, and then I'm going to show the task pane, which opens up on the right. So you see how MindManager uses this pane on the right, this window on the right, for whatever purpose you need at that time. It can be the embedded browser and show you websites. It can show you notes, it can show you attachments, and it can show you map parts, and it's the place where you can display task info. So what I'm going to say to build out this task of creating the guest list is I'm going to pick a start date. I'm going to say February 17th, and then I'm going to pick an end date of the 25th. MindManager automatically will calculate the work days for you. So, deletes the weekends, obviously. You can also do hours, weeks, months, minutes. I mean, if you're planning your project down to the minute, good luck to you. And then in resources, I'm going to say Ryan. So now you see that I have this task, which is guest list. Figuring out the guest list is assigned to Ryan. He needs to have it done. He'll have all the information he needs to do it by the 17th. He'll need to have it done by the 25th. That's 7 work days. So that is how you start creating a project plan. So let me show you what some of these other features are. Let's say I've built out the list of tasks. So there's design, the guest list, the distribution, RSVP tracking, all these things. One thing I noticed is, I changed, this is a little bit behind. This says that design is going to start on the 26th. That's not good. So I'm going to move the start date for the project. I just went up to the task menu, move project, and I'm going to move it to February 10th. MindManager automatically calculates and keeps the same number of work days, but it adjusts the schedule for you. Now, if I want to see, well, what's the overall schedule for all of this, what I'm going to do is open my task pane, and I'm going to say Rollup task info. So you see that task management in the middle of the screen, Rollup task info, and what MindManager does is it takes the earliest start date and the latest completion date, and it shows that summarized on invitations. So there are a lot more project management features. I'm not going to go into those. We have a separate webinar on project management features, but I did want to give you a feel for how to access those features, and the easiest way of doing that is by going to the task menu. You'll see all these options. I can mark progress. So this is a quarter done, and so on. And so if you just work your way through the task menu and working with the task pane, you'll become really quickly familiar with how to define tasks and roll up task information. So I'm going to pause now and just see if there's anything that I haven't shown you that that will be useful to you. As you see at the top, the various menus, I encourage you to explore those. The Insert menu, which is where you go for all these tags. They're also in the Home menu, but there's more laid out in the Insert menu. The Task menu, the Design menu lets you change the layout of topics, for example. Play around with your colors and shapes, get creative. I mean, one of the nice things about MindManager in the visual format is that it really lets you get creative. You can, for example, insert images, and there's a whole image library that will open up, and there's doodles that you can put in, all sorts of things that you can play with to make your map interesting, so that when you're holding a meeting and projecting your map, people are, they pay attention, because it's like any other form of presentation. You want to make it compelling and interesting and so on. So I'd like to pause now and see if there are any questions.
We did have one coming just now about, can you please show the task pane again and how to grab that? And,
sure. So you go up to the task menu, which is here, and I apologize, the resolution on my screen is a little small. I'm using Parallels running Windows on a Mac, and it's a little funny. So up here in the very top menu, it goes File, Home, Insert, Task. Click on the Task menu, and then click on Show Task Pane. There are also shortcut menu options down here, which you can reach some of the functionality. Here's the Task Panes shortcut down in the lower right corner. And then once you're into the task pane, you can define priority if you want, and show progress, assign a start date and an end date, and a resource. You can make it a milestone, which is useful. So if it's completing this particular action, it's a major milestone, you can assign it in a milestone, and that will cause it to show up more clearly when you use the Gantt view. I'll show you the Gantt view, which is a linear view. So I got to the Gantt view in this bottom menu, but you can also see it here up at the top. And now what you're seeing is a kind of timeline view, and anything that you change in the Gantt view will change in the map. So once you look at the timeline view, if you say, well, I think this is going to take longer, it will change. And if you have said that some tasks are dependent on other tasks, it will reflect that in the Gantt, and it will adjust things accordingly.
Okay. We have a question that just came in. Can tasks be integrated or migrated to other platforms like Outlook or Project?
Yes, that's a great question. They can. So unfortunately, I am not running Outlook on this system. We use Google Mail, and it doesn't integrate with Outlook on the Mac, but you can integrate with Outlook, and it's just up here in the task menu, so you can integrate Outlook items, including tasks. So, and you can also export to Project. And the way you do that is by going into File, Export, and I don't have Project running on my system, but if you did have Microsoft Project running on your system, it would be just like one of these items would show up. Here you see Export to Spreadsheet. If I had Microsoft Project, that would show up, and you would just click to export. You can also export as a PDF, as an image. So let's say you want to print a map. The easiest thing to do is to export as an image and then print that image. So, but yes, people, in fact, we were just talking with the project manager last week about the Outlook integration and how he relies very heavily on the ability to sync tasks between Outlook and MindManager, and it's pretty straightforward. If you go up here to the help, you can search on Outlook, and it will, show you all the topics on working with Outlook and tell you exactly how to do it. Other questions?
There is a question about fitting maps into PDF view for printing. Some maps obviously can get quite large. Any suggestions on how to fit expanded map views into PDFs?
What I tend to do actually is to save as images first. So this zoom slider, can make your map bigger or smaller, but you still have the question of, legibility. So what I've done is, if I want to print, is I'll just go through topic by topic. So I would close all these other, so let me show you what I mean. What I mean is, let's say I would expand the budget topic. Okay, I would export this as image and print that, and then I would, first I'd obviously do the high-level map. Then I'd do each topic depending on how much I can fit on the screen. So I would basically just figure out how much can I fit on the screen that's going to be legible, and then I would expand and close topics and subtopics to fit the area that I think is most legible.
Great. Hopefully that answers your question. We don't have any other questions at this time. I'll leave it open for a minute here. We encourage everyone to submit any questions you have. No question is too silly. That's why we're here. So we'll leave it open for just another minute. See if we get some more hands raised.
Yeah, one thing I think that sometimes when we focus on a specific use of MindManager in a demo, like an event, it's tempting for people to think, oh, I get it, so MindManager is a really good tool for event planning, which it is. So one of the things, though, it's also a really good tool for problem solving. So here are a bunch of analytical templates. It's a great tool for project management. So as I said, being responsible for product marketing, I coordinate global launches of MindManager with all of our regional offices in Australia and Germany and the UK, France, and so on. And we use maps, and they get very detailed, but it's a really useful way for everyone to see what the plan is and who's doing what. So I encourage you to explore all these templates so you really get a sense of the range of what you can do with MindManager, and the ability to insert attachments and links is something that I also use for creating content. So when I'm doing, for example, competitive research, I build out a map with links to all the competitive sites. I attach their data sheets and so on. Then if a sales rep calls me with a question, I have everything in exactly one place, and I just look up the information.
We do have a question about sharing maps with those who do not have MindManager. And obviously, sharing an image of a map is one thing, as a PDF or PNG, but I think some people are curious if you can send maps such that people will be able to click the links within.
Not really. So we do have an offering that is called MindManager Enterprise, and MindManager Enterprise is sorry, I was just looking to see if I could find some. MindManager Enterprise enables you to share maps using SharePoint. So if your organization uses SharePoint, which a lot of organizations use SharePoint for their intranets, MindManager Enterprise includes a number of licenses, and then it includes special software that your IT group can install on the SharePoint server. It's very straightforward. It's not complicated. It doesn't take long. And then you can save maps in SharePoint, and anyone in the organization who has access to SharePoint can open those maps, view those maps, click around, click on the links, etc., whether they have MindManager or not. So if you're in an organization where a couple of you use MindManager and you want to be able to share maps with other people who don't, they don't really need MindManager for themselves, but they need to be able to review the information, then I recommend talking to a MindManager rep or channel rep about that. I will say that when you use this export as Mindjet Viewer PDF. It's a special form of PDF that is interactive to the extent that the people who get that PDF can click on, they can open and close topics in the map. I honestly can't remember whether the links are live or not. I'll have to try that out for myself and see. But it does let people see all the content that's in the map.
Yeah. One last thing, a functionality. Could you explain just a little bit about the relationship function?
Yep. The relationship function is, let's see. Let me do this. You can create a relationship for different reasons, but I usually use it to show a dependency. So what you do is you click on, here in Home, you click on Insert Relationship, and you click the two things that have a relationship. And then if you go into the task pane and click on this relationship, trying to get this. You can establish a dependency. So, I mean, you can use relationships just to show that ideas are related or concepts are related, you know, just to, if you have a map with a lot of topics and you want to show that, oh, up here in the brainstorming topic, we had an idea about a new widget, and then way down here in our, you know, product roadmap topic, we had another idea about a widget. You can link them using relationships. To make it a more formal relationship, you can make it a dependency and say, really, it's not realistic to start the list until we finish design. And so if I click Finish to Start, so in other words, list can't start till design is finished, the start date for working on the list is actually going to be adjusted to be the day after the finish of the design. So hopefully that's helpful. You basically go Insert, Relationship, click on the things that you want to have a relationship, and then if you want to have a dependency, you use the task pane to identify the nature of that dependency.